Hello. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 tips for selling your art, particularly ACEOs on eBay. Yes, I did say eBay, not Etsy. Who am I to offer this information? Well, I have been selling on eBay for a little while now. More recently, I did start selling ACEOs, which, if you're not familiar, they are artist cards, editions, and originals. They are, the standard is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. People love to make them and people love to collect them. So who am I to offer this information? Well, like I said, I've been selling them on eBay for a little while now. And as of right now, I have been maintaining a 100% 5-star rating for my customers. So I'm doing something right. And I think the most important thing is keeping customers happy. Yes, having a good listing picture matters, a good description, an accurate description matters. But the sales will come. The customers will come. And once they do, you want to keep them happy. It's very important to meet or exceed your customers' expectations. The last thing you want to do is disappoint them because that's a betrayal that is hard to overcome. Once a customer feels betrayed by a seller, it's not likely they're going to be a repeat customer. So, first thing I want to tell you is don't compare. And don't be discouraged by people on social media who might be like, oh, I just sold 40 ACEOs in a couple of days. Most of these people have really big followings already. So they have fans that are going to eBay specifically to look for their shop and their artwork. So these people are there ready to buy this person's art, ready to bid if the person has any art on auction. If you don't have a following, don't worry. Customers will come. People will find your art. They will like your art and they will buy it. But it's not going to be 40 a day. Might not even be 40 in a few months. These things can start slowly. Don't let that discourage you. The customers will find you. The most important thing is that you're going to make sure you keep them happy once they get to you. And I will be getting to that as well. Tip number 2. This was the one that I said is probably going to be a bit controversial. Don't sell your art for $1. Don't sell it for $1. Now, on a side note, eBay has an auction function. You can sell your listing for a buy it now price, or you can auction it, or you can do both. A buy it now price lets the customer instantly buy the item for a set price, and the auction price, you would start with a bidding price. Here's where you would start with a low price, like $1 for an ACEO or 99 cents. That is part of how auctions work. You're meant to start with a low bidding price to entice customers to come and bid in hopes that maybe no one else will bid and they'll get it for this really great price. But that's a different mindset than just selling your art for 99 cents. And I'm going to get more into that in a moment, but auctions are a different story. If you're auctioning artwork, particularly ACEOs, 99 cents or $1 is a standard starting bid. But don't sell your art flat out at a buy it now price for 99 cents. And here's the thing. If you want to make a living selling your art, you're not going to do it by selling your art for $1. First of all, when you sell something for $1 on eBay, you're not profiting $1. You've paid for materials. There's a fee that eBay will get when the listing sells. If you've promoted your listing, that's going to come out of it. And let's not forget that your time and talent also have a value. But with that said, if you sell something for $1, you're not profiting $1. But let's pretend that you do, just to make math a little simpler because it can give you a headache, right? Let's pretend if you sell your ACEO, your piece of art for $1, you profit that entire dollar. That means that you would have to make 25,000 ACEOs and sell 25,000 ACEOs a year just to make $25,000, which I live in the United States and that is very hard to live on. And the truth of the matter is, if you sell your ACEO for $1, you're not profiting $1. You're profiting much less than that. Let me break that down for you further. And this is, again, just to make $25,000 a year. And in the pretend scenario where if you sell it for $1, you actually profit the entire dollar, you'd have to make almost 70 ACEOs in a day, and they'd have to sell every single one. You'd have to make it's a little more than 68 is the accurate number. Every single day, 7 days a week for the entire year, and every single one would have to sell for you to get $25,000 in a world where selling something for $1, you actually profit the entire dollar. Now, maybe you could have a day off and be on a great artistic role, and you could make 70 ACEOs in a day, a very, very long day, but you're not going to maintain that every single day for a whole year or even a week. I have some days where everything I make I think is complete trash and I just want to throw it out. So, you know, one of those days could really offset the whole thing. But yeah, that's an insane amount of ACEOs to make. And again, every single one would have to sell. If you have a large social media following, you might have a better chance at making those kind of sales. But really, even someone with a big social media following probably isn't going to sell 70 ACEOs a day every single day. And for everyone else who doesn't have that following, you might sell 10 one week and none the next. You're getting yourself out there, but yeah, these things take time. So selling your art for $1 is not a good idea if you're looking to make a living selling art. But what if you say to me, well, I'm not trying to make a living selling art. I just want to get my name out there, get my art out there. So I want to sell it for a really low price to just get people to buy it. Trust me when I say selling your art for $1 is not the best way to get your name out there. You're getting your name out there by undermining your own worth and the value of your art. You're not ripping people off by charging what your art is worth. Now, the going rate for ACEOs, I'm going to say the range is between, let's say, a good range, between $4 and $25. And the things you have to factor in are the materials you use, the quality of them, the time it takes you to make, where you're selling can have a big effect on what's a good rate to charge or how much you can charge. So there's a lot of factors in that. That's your decision ultimately. But I really recommend not selling your art for $1 and undermining your own artistic worth and value. Now, with that said, is there ever a time where it's okay to sell an ACEO for $1? Well, sure. In fact, I could think of a really good scenario where it might actually help your business. But that would be in a live setting. Maybe you paid to be a vendor at an art fair, or you didn't pay to be a vendor. You're a vendor at an art fair or a craft fair, and you have some ACEOs that maybe aren't your best work, but they're good. And you have them in a little bin or a wicker basket, and you're selling them for $1. And you have them right at the front of your stand. So it brings people over. It brings people over, and they might be encouraged to buy. They might be encouraged to buy due to the price that brings them over to look at your other stuff that's a little bit higher price, your better works. Um, because that in that scenario, you have pieces of art that you weren't that thrilled with. You weren't going to sell them otherwise. You weren't going to try to. Maybe they would have sold otherwise, but you weren't going to try to sell them otherwise. And now you're using them as a tool in a live scenario, in-person scenario, where it's creating engagement because people are coming to look at this little basket of artworks that are only $1. So in a scenario like that, it could be a great selling tool. It's not undermining your work. You're bringing people to your stand. So a scenario like that, yes. But again, online where you're selling your really good pieces, don't sell them for $1. You can start your bidding on auction at $1, but don't outright sell them for $1. So next I want to talk about free shipping versus the customer pays for shipping. Now for me, I charge $1 for shipping on my ACEOs. I'm able to ship them via USPS first class mail. And that's, right now 70 something cents. And then the extra 20 whatever cents is going towards the materials that I use to ship, the envelopes and things like that. So I charge a flat $1 rate for my ACEOs. And if a customer buys more than one, I do combined shipping and they still only get charged the $1 and I just ship everything together in one envelope. So whether or not to do free shipping is up to you. I haven't found, again, that having my customer pay for shipping has not hurt my sales at all. But that's something that you're going to have to do trial and error with and see what works best for you. Now we're on to tip number 4, which I told you was going to be the most important tip that I give you. And it is the most important tip that I am giving you. And I have it packed full with a lot of information. Now, the sales will come. People will find you. They will see your art. They will buy it. What you do next is the most important thing. How you package this is the most important thing. Now, I mentioned before that I have 100% 5-star ratings from my customers. I'm going to show you some of them now. Now you see they mention they love my artwork. It's beautiful. Of course, that means everything to me. But look what else they're talking about so much. How I packaged it. That means a lot to the customer. Think about this. When someone purchases something from you, even though initially it's still in your possession, technically that item is now theirs. They bought it, they own it. They want you to care for that item as if it was still your own. They want it to get shipped to them and be in the condition that it was when they purchased it. It is very important to the customer how something is packaged. When they see it packaged with care, it means everything to them. And you may have seen people on social media posting videos about how they package their art. I actually made a video not too long ago about that, but I didn't go into detail about really why. I just said, this is what I do. But I noticed some other people's videos that they're doing things that I'm going to say are wrong. For example, I saw one person, they were putting the artwork, the ACEOs, in cellophane bags. Cellophane is really bad to put your art in because it can damage it, especially over time. If you're putting your artwork in any kind of a plastic sleeve or bag, it needs to be acid-free. It needs to be archival, right? The good thing about ACEOs is that they're the same size as other popular trading cards, like baseball cards. So there are plenty of manufacturers making plastic sleeves that are the exact right size, and they're archival. They're safe to store the artwork in. So don't use cellophane. I also don't recommend shipping in just a regular envelope. What I use are these firm mailers. They are soft enough that I can still use USPS first class postage, meaning a postage stamp, because they're able to go through the machine that the postal workers need to run it through. But they're firm enough that they keep the artwork protected. You do not want to send your artwork in a regular envelope. There's so many ways that your art could get damaged in doing that. And think about this. I've sold my art to people not only all over the United States, which by the way is huge. United States is huge. But I've sold it to other countries on other continents. So over massive oceans, right? There's all kinds of things that can happen, all different ways that your package could be handled, your envelope could be handled or mishandled. So far, I've had 100% success with these firm mailers. Don't send it in a regular envelope. Your customer is going to see it in a nice protective sleeve, in a firm mailer, and they're going to know that you took the time and the care to package this for them and make sure it gets to them in the same condition that it was sent. And not only are you impressing upon them that you care about their order, but it's good for you to ensure it gets there the way you sent it, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. Some small little things, it's a win-win for everybody. Now, I also suggest throwing in some kind of little thank you. This could be a thank you card. It doesn't have to be a handmade. It does not have to be handmade. You can do handmade. You can make some on your computer and print them out. You can order thank you cards. You could even just do a sticker that says thank you or you made my day. Just a little something extra to show your customer that you really do appreciate them choosing you and your art. These little things, showing your customer your appreciation of them, showing them that you care about how their item gets to them, these things matter and they will come back to you. When they're ready for another piece of art, they're going to come back to your shop and they're going to look at what you have and find something they like from your shop because they know how it's going to get to them and how you're going to handle things. So, packaging is the absolute most important thing in regards to selling your art. The sales will come, but once they do, that's the thing that's going to show your customer that you appreciate them and they're going to come back. So I mentioned that I ship my ACEOs via USPS first class mail. I don't do any kind of a track service or anything like that. If you're selling something much more expensive, then I highly recommend using a tracked service to ship the item. But for an ACEO that you're selling for $5 to $15, so far USPS first class mail has worked perfectly for me, but there's no tracking. I do put in my listings that the shipment will not be tracked. So the customer is aware that they'll have no way to keep an eye on it from when it leaves my hands and when it gets to them. However, there is a spot on the listing once your item sells that you can select mark as shipped. Make sure you do that every time you ship out someone's item so they know that it's on its way. Again, you're not going to have any kind of tracking. They won't be able to see where it is en route. Usually ACEOs, though, even going from one coast of the US to another, only takes a matter of a few days at most. So there shouldn't be any issues, but you mark as shipped so they know, yep, I've packaged it up and it's on its way. So those are my top 5 tips for selling your artwork, particularly ACEOs on eBay. Now, these tips really would work for selling any artwork, but I did gear it towards ACEOs. And what I want to know is, do you already sell artwork on eBay? And do you have any great tips for it that maybe I missed? So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.